Hello guys, you're welcome to Aloysius Medical. We'll be discussing pharmacology today and our topic will be sources, nature, classification, as well as naming of drugs. Now, the source and the nature of drugs. A drug is a chemical substance of known structure other than a nutrient of an essential dietary ingredient, which when administered to a living organism produce a biological effect. The main sources of drugs are plants, animals, microorganisms, as well as by laboratory synthesis. Now, the nature of drugs, the earliest forms, drugs were in crude powders, juice, or extracts. Now, currently, varieties of forms are available, such as tablets, injection, syrup, suspension, as well as solution. Now, the difference between a drug and a poison is dosage. So, invariably, that statement is saying that a drug is a potential poison, right? So the difference between a drug and a poison is the rate at which you have taken the drug, like the volume, the quantity, the dosage. Now, toxins are poisons of biological origin, such as plants, animals, or microorganisms. The main sources of drugs are plants, animals, microorganisms, or by laboratory synthesis. Classification of drugs. The vast numbers of prescribed and recreational drugs fall into certain drug classification. The following are some of the classification. Now, classification based on the chemical nature. It could be inorganic drugs, which examples are metals, metallic salts, ferrous sulfates, magnesium sulfates. Then non-metal, sulfur. Now, organic drugs, example includes alkaloids, which good examples are atropine, strychnine, morphine, glycosides, which include digoxin, protein, oxytocins, and insulin. Now, classification based on sources. You have natural source, synthetic and semisynthetic, then biosynthetic sources. And for the natural sources, examples are plants, which drugs under plants include morphine, atropine, digoxin. Animal example is insulin. Microorganism, a very good example is penicillin. And for minerals, we have chloroquine phosphate. Now, synthetic sources include example are sulfonamides, proteins. Now, for semi-synthetic, examples are amoxicillin, ampicillin, doxycycline. Now, for biosynthetic sources, examples are recombinant human erythropoietin, recombinant bovine somatotropin. Now, classification based on the target organ. We have central nervous system drugs. Example is benzodiazepine and barbiturates. We have cardiovascular system drugs. Example is nifedipine, furosemide. These are antihypertensive drugs. We have drugs acting on the respiratory system. Example is bromyxin. We have drugs acting on the gastrointestinal tract. Example is omeprazole, lansoprazole, and the rest of them. Esomeprazole and the rest. Drugs acting on the urinary system. Example are magnesium sulfate. Now, classification. You are still classifying drugs. So, classification based on the mode of action. We have drugs that are they are inhibitors of bacterial cell wall synthesis. And a good example is penicillin. We have drugs that are inhibitors of bacterial protein synthesis. An example is tetracycline. We have drugs that are calcium channel blockers, and a good example is nifedipine. Now, classification based on therapeutic use. We have antimicrobial drugs, and good examples are aminoglycosides, quinolones. We have antihypertensive drugs, clonidine, hydralazine. We have antipsychotic drugs such as haloperidol, chlorpromazine. Now, classification based on the physical effect. That's the physical effect the drug elicits. You have examples emollients, which we have lanolin and Veslin. We have caustics, silver nitrate. We have demulcents. An example is zinc oxide and tannic oxide. Now, classification based on the physiological system the drug is affecting, or the drug is interacting with. We have sympathomimetics, and the drugs include adrenaline and noradrenaline. We have parasympathomimetics, and the drugs include carbaco and pilocarpine. We have neuromuscular blockers, susamethioneum and galamine. We have drugs. Another example, another classification is drugs. Drugs are also classified as prescription only drugs. Prescription only medicine. That's POM, or over the counter drugs, OTC. Now, we also have another classification such as legal drug classification. The Controlled Substance Act of 1990 set up the legal classification of drugs based on their use, abuse, and how safe they are considered. The following is a partial list. Have Schedule 1 controlled substances. These are substances in this schedule have no currently accepted legal use in the United States. Lack of accepted safety for the use under medical supervision, and a high potential for abuse. Example of these drugs include heroin, lysergic acid, diethylamide, LSD, marijuana, cannabis, methaqualone, and 3,4 methylphenidioxymethamphetamine causes ecstasy. We have Schedule 2 and Scheduled II or Schedule 2N controlled substances. Substances in this schedule have a high potential for abuse, which may lead to severe psychological or physical dependence. Example of these drugs include hydromorphone, methadone, meperidine, oxycodone, fentanyl. Other Schedule 2 narcotics include morphine, opium, codeine. Example of Schedule IIN stimulants include amphetamine, methamphetamine, and methylphenidate. Other Schedule 2 substances include amobarbital, glutathione- glutathione, glutathione, and pentobarbital. Now, Schedule 3 and Scheduled 3N control substances. Substances in this schedule have potential for abuse less than substances in Schedule 1 or 2. Now, the abuse may lead to moderate or low physical dependence or high psychological dependence. Example of Schedule 3 narcotics include the combination products containing less than 50 milligrams of hydrocodone per dosage unit, products containing not more than 90 milligrams of codeine per usage unit, Tylenol with codeine, buprenorphine. Example of Schedule 3N non-narcotics include bensphytamine, phendimetrazine, ketamine, anabolic steroids such as uh, dipodestrone, dipodestosterone. Sorry. Schedule 4 controlled substances. These substances in this schedule have a low potential for abuse relative to substances in Schedule 3. Right. So if you discover as we ascend on this schedule, the dependence or the potential for its abuse is lower. Right. So example of drugs under Schedule 4 controlled substance include aprazolam, carisoprodol, clonazepam, clorazepate, diazepam, lorazepam, midazolam, temazepam, triazolam. Schedule 5 controlled substances in this schedule have a low potential for abuse compared to substances listed in Schedule 4 and consist primarily of preparations containing limited quantity of certain narcotics. Examples are cough preparation containing not more than 200 milligrams of codeine per 100 mils or per 100 gram Finagam with codeine and zogabine. Nomenclatures of drugs. Now, nomenclature is the name of drugs, especially pharmaceutical drugs. Drugs in the majority of circumstances have four types of names. Um, we have the chemical names, which is the most important of which is the IUPAC name. You have generic or non proprietary names is the most common, which are international non-proprietary names. That's INNS. You have trade names or brand names or proprietary names. You have company codes or compound code names. You have generic name for drugs. Generic name for drugs are nowadays constructed out of affixes and stems that classify the drugs into different categories, and there are also separate drugs within categories. Now, international agreement on drug name is mediated through the WHO, that's World Health Organization, an important health agency of cooperating countries. And the most widely accepted is a generic name. The limitation of generic name is that it does not give indication of the stereochemistry of the drug except for few drugs such as levodopa and dextroamphetamine. Example is paracetamol. The chemical name for paracetamol is N4-hydroxyphenyl acetamide. Non-proprietary names, which is generic name for paracetamol, British, and so paracetamol, that's a British name, right? And acetaminophen, USA. So USA uses acetaminophen, while British use paracetamol. So the official name is acetaminophen, right? Now the proprietary name is Panadol or Capo or Ado. So understand this. So the non-proprietary name, which is the generic name, is paracetamol in British, while acetaminophen is used in the USA. Now, the official name for paracetamol is acetaminophen. Now, the proprietary name is Panadol or Capo or Ado. Now, sources of information of drugs. The following are sources of information of drugs. We have the National Drug Formularies. Example includes the British National Formulary, that's the BNF. We have the Materia Medica, which contains origin, constituent, action, indication, mode of uses of drugs. Then, of course, WHO, World Health Organization. Then, pharmaceutical research and manufacturers. Um, we are still on the sources of information of drugs. We have the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration Control, NAFDAC, here in Nigeria. We have the British Pharmacopoeia, British Pharmacopoeia. I hope I'm correct. We have the pharmacology textbook as well as we have bulletins, we have journals, we have monograph. So thank you for listening. Please kindly subscribe and share if you find this very helpful.